Hi, welcome to FinFlow Podcast. Have you ever felt like you're playing financial catch-up? I was wondering if there's some kind of secret language that the truly wealthy, speak when it comes to money.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really common feeling, isn't it? This
Yeah.
sort of nagging thought that, well, some people just get it. They know how to grow their finances while, the rest of us are kind of stumbling through, trying to figure out complex charts, confusing jargon, and honestly, advice that often seems to contradict itself.
Absolutely. It feels like a maze sometimes.
Exactly. But what if that secret isn't really about, exclusive access or huge inheritances? What if it's actually a remarkably, elegant and surprisingly simple framework? A way to manage every single dollar, every pound that lands in your pocket.
That's a much more empowering way to think about it.
Right. So today, we're not just throwing out random financial tips. We're aiming to unlock the powerful, yet genuinely accessible strategies, the kind of things used by people often called the top 1%.
Hmm.
But these are strategies designed to make your money work harder for you. And this is key, regardless of your current income level.
That universality is crucial.
Yeah. So get ready to maybe rethink your relationship with money a bit, because we're about to set the stage for what could be a truly transformative financial journey, moving from just wishing, aspiration to actual actionable steps you can take.
That's precisely it. Financial success isn't some exclusive club. It's not reserved only for people with massive salaries or, some kind of golden ticket start in life.
Right.
It really boils down to deliberate strategic choices and a disciplined approach to how you allocate your capital, where your money goes.
So being intentional.
Being very intentional. And today we're diving deep into one specific and I think incredibly effective approach to managing your finances. It's a rule, a guideline really, that distills, decades of wisdom from working with high net worth individuals, but makes it a clear, concise blueprint for anyone.
Okay.
We call it the 1-5-6-5-20 rule for financial management.
The 1-5-6-5-20 rule.
Got it. And our mission in this deep dive is simple. Break down this proven system. We want to transform what might initially seem like, complicated financial management into actionable, easy to understand steps, things you can apply immediately to your own life.
Okay, practical stuff.
Exactly. Empowering you to manage your money with greater intentionality and ultimately more impact.
Okay, let's unpack this then before we get into the actual percentages, the 15, the 65, the 20. I think it's really crucial we grasp the mindset behind it all first, because it feels like more than just a budget, right? It's like a shift in how you even think about money, a different philosophy almost.
Absolutely. It's a complete paradigm shift. You've hit the nail on the head there. The core insight I consistently saw, over a decade working with high net worth clients wasn't really about the sheer size of their income.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was about their meticulous attention, their focus on how that income was managed, how it was allocated.
Right.
The simple truth, and it sounds almost too simple sometimes, is this. It's not about how much you make. It's really about how you manage what you make.
We hear that a lot, but maybe don't always internalize it.
Exactly. And look, this isn't some, arcane secret only the super rich know. Whether you're earning, say, $50,000 a year or $500,000 a year, the foundational strategies, the principles the financially savvy use to grow and protect their wealth, they are universally applicable.
Right. So it scales.
It absolutely scales, and that's the real beauty, I think, of this 1-5-5-20 framework. It offers a simple, proven approach that genuinely can help anyone manage their money like a financial expert would advise them to. It cuts across all income brackets.
Okay, so this isn't about needing some secret handshake or being born into the right family. It's about discipline. It's about being intentional and using a really effective approach to your money.
Precisely.
And what's really empowering about that, for me anyway, is realizing these aren't exclusive strategies locked away somewhere. We can all tap into them, can't we? We can learn this.
Precisely. That's the core message. This framework is all about being intensely intentional and strategically proactive with every single dollar, every pound you earn.
Okay.
It fundamentally shifts your focus away from that often frustrating, endless chase of just trying to accumulate more,
Yeah, the hamster wheel.
Exactly. And instead, it directs your attention towards intelligent, purposeful allocation. Where does this money need to go to serve me best?
Right. Putting you in control.
Yes. It's about regaining control, making your money a dedicated servant to your life goals rather than, letting your financial situation dictate your choices all the time.
That feels very different.
It is. And look, this isn't abstract economic theory we're talking about here. This is practical, distilled wisdom, directly applicable to your personal finances. It offers a clear path to greater financial peace, greater prosperity, starting right now, today.
Okay, let's start then. Let's get into the numbers. The first piece, that first 15 cents of every dollar or 15p of every pound, you're saying this is the portion that should be reserved, deliberately put aside for yourself, for your future self, really.
Yes, primarily.
It sounds simple on the surface. Save 15%. But why is this specific allocation so profoundly critical? Why is it almost like non-negotiable for long-term financial health?
It's non-negotiable because this 15% is the bedrock. It's the foundation upon which all your long-term financial security and your growth potential are actually built. It serves two profoundly important and actually quite intertwined reasons for your overall financial well-being. You can think of it as investing simultaneously in your immediate peace of mind and your future prosperity.
Peace of mind and prosperity.
Yeah. Without this foundation, honestly, the entire financial structure you're trying to build becomes incredibly vulnerable. It's like building a house on shaky ground.
Makes sense. So let's take reason one first. Peace of mind. You mentioned that. Just imagine you're going about your day, everything's fine, and bam, unexpected expense.
Yep. Happens to everyone.
Flat tire, surprise medical bill pops up, maybe an urgent family thing you need to travel for.
Yeah.
Without a solid cash cushion, what might be just an annoyance for someone else can quickly escalate, right, into a major financial crisis, potentially forcing you into high-interest debt or just derailing all your careful plans.
Exactly that.
It's like having the rug pulled out from under you, emotionally and financially.
Absolutely. And when these unwelcome, unexpected things inevitably happen because life does throw curveballs, you're immediately hit with a double burden.
Double burden? How so?
Well, it's not just the stress of the emergency itself, dealing with the broken car or the health issue. It's also the immediate and often quite overwhelming question of how on earth am I going to pay for this?
Right. The financial stress on top of the actual problem.
Precisely. And that dual psychological and financial load, it can rapidly derail your finances. It can push you into a real tailspin of anxiety. And it tempts you, understandably, to resort to costly credit card debt. Or maybe even worse, start pulling money out of your long-term investments prematurely, which can be disastrous.
Okay, I see.
That's why dedicating a portion of this initial 15% specifically to building an emergency fund is so, so vital. It acts as your primary line of defense, your financial shield against life's inevitable little and sometimes big surprises.
Okay, so the emergency fund is priority one within that 15%. How much are we talking about? What's the goal?
Right. So for you, the listener, the initial absolutely critical goal is to establish what we often call robust, highly liquid emergency fund. Liquid meaning you can get your hands on it quickly.
Okay. Cash, basically, or near cash.
Pretty much. A high-yield savings account is ideal. And this fund should be readily accessible and sufficient to cover at least 1 month, just start with 1 month, of your essential non-discretionary expenses.
Okay, define essential, because that's where people can get tripped up, right?
Absolutely. When we talk about essential, we mean exactly that, the absolute must-haves for basic survival and stability. So things like your rent or your mortgage payment, groceries, transportation costs to get to work, your basic utility bills, gas, electric, water.
Yeah, non-negotiables.
The non-negotiables. And crucially, this explicitly excludes discretionary spending. So things like your Netflix subscription, your daily takeaway coffee habit, eating out, new clothes you don't strictly need, that stuff doesn't count towards this essential calculation.
Got it. So core survival costs, 1 month to start.
1 month to start. That's your first target. Once you've built that critical 1-month buffer, the strategic next level is to systematically work your way up. Aim for accumulating 3 to 6 months worth of those core non-discretionary expenses.
3 to 6 months. Okay, that feels substantial.
It is substantial, and that's the point. This deeper emergency cushion provides you with, well, ultimate peace of mind, truly. Knowing that if something really significant happens, maybe a sudden job loss, a serious health scare that keeps you out of work, or any major unexpected crisis, you have a substantial financial buffer.
Right.
It means you won't have to immediately panic and go into debt. You won't have to liquidate your investments at potentially the worst possible time. You won't have to endure immense stress just trying to cover your basic living costs.
It buys you time and options.
Exactly. It empowers you to focus your energy on resolving the emergency itself, rather than constantly anxiously worrying about how you're going to finance it.
I can see the value there. It's like taking a weight off your shoulders before the problem even hits.
It really is. And I'd encourage you, listening now, just pause for a second and truly visualize that. Picture the profound difference in your emotional and mental state facing an unexpected $100,000 bill with that fund versus without it. Consider the stark contrast between calmly arranging the car repair, knowing the money's there, versus frantically trying to figure out where that money's coming from. Maybe trying to find extra shifts, borrowing from family, putting it on a high-interest credit card. That feeling of control versus panic. That, in essence, is the tangible power of this peace of mind fund.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Peace of mind is huge. What's the second reason for that 15%?
The second, and equally compelling reason to consistently save and crucially invest that 15% is to make your money actively work for you.
Okay, making money work for you. Passive income vibes.
Sort of, but more foundational than just passive income streams. It's about harnessing the power of growth over time. And here's where it gets really fascinating, I think, because you might already be doing some of this without fully appreciating its profound impact.
How so?
Well, this isn't necessarily about engaging in complex stock picking or trying to be a high-frequency day trader, not at all. It's about harnessing a fundamental and often seriously underestimated principle of wealth creation:
Yeah.
compound interest.
Compound interest. The eighth wonder of the world, supposedly.
That's absolutely right. Albert Einstein famously, and I believe quite aptly, called it that. It's so immensely powerful because it taps into this, well, magical combination of growth and time. The longer you allow your money to compound, the more dramatically, the more exponentially it can multiply.
Okay, explain that. How does it actually work?
Well, it's not just your initial capital, your initial investment, earning returns. That's simple interest. Compounding is when those returns themselves start earning even more returns.
Okay, so returns on return.
Exactly, returns earning returns. And that creates this powerful, self-accelerating growth effect over time. This continuous reinvestment of earnings, whether it's dividends or capital growth, is what creates a truly profound, almost unbelievable impact on wealth accumulation over the long haul.
Okay, can you give us an example? Make it concrete.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's use a classic but still incredibly powerful illustration. Let's imagine two individuals, we'll call them Janet and Mike.
Okay, Janet and Mike.
Right. Imagine Janet. She starts at age 30. She makes a single, one-time lump sum investment of $10,000.
Okay.
Now she's disciplined. She leaves that investment completely untouched. Let's say it earns a steady, quite conservative 6% average annual return for 20 years. She doesn't add another penny.
Just lets it sit and grow.
Just lets it sit and grow.
Right.
By the time Janet reaches age 50, that initial $10,000, thanks to compounding, has grown to an impressive $32,071.
Wow, more than tripled without adding anything else.
Exactly. I know. Let's consider Mike. Mike waits a bit longer. He doesn't start investing until he's 40.
Okay, 10 years later than Janet.
10 years later. But maybe he feels he needs to catch up, so he's more aggressive with his contributions. He puts in $2,000 every single year for the next 10 years. So between age 40 and 50.
Okay, so he invests way more money overall. $2,000 a year for 10 years is $20,000.
Precisely. He invests a total of $20,000 out of his own pocket, double what Janet put in initially.
Yeah.
Let's say he also earns the same 6% average annual return.
Okay, so same return, more money invested, but less time.
Exactly. By the time he turns 50, his $20,000 in total contributions has grown to $27,944.
Hang on. So Mike invested $20,000 and ended up with just under $28,000. Janet invested only $10,000 and ended up with over $32,000,
That is exactly right.
even though Mike put in twice as much money.
Even though Mike invested double the amount overall.
All
And
right.
that right there is the aha moment. That's the critical insight this little anecdote highlights so perfectly.
Wow.
The critical difference here, the profound lesson for absolutely all of us, comes down entirely to the power of time combined with compound interest.
So starting early is huge.
It's absolutely massive. Janet's money simply had an extra 10 years to grow. 10 more years to compound. 10 more years for her returns to start earning their own returns. And that additional decade made an astonishing difference.
Yeah, clear.
Her initial smaller investment of $10,000 snowballed into over $32,000, even without her adding anything else. This is exactly what we mean when we describe the effect of compound interest as a kind of runaway train. Your returns aren't just adding up, they're constantly accelerating the growth of your wealth, creating this truly exponential trajectory over time. It's not just about making good choices, it's about making them early.
That is a really powerful example.
Yeah.
Okay, so given this incredible power, where should someone listening actually start? How do you harness this magic? Where do you put that 15% to make it work like Janet's money did?
Right. Great question. And the good news is you actually have several highly accessible and very powerful options right at your fingertips. Many people are already using them.
Okay.
First off, if you're already contributing to your workplace retirement plan, maybe a 401k in the US or a workplace pension scheme in the UK, then congratulations, you have absolutely already started this crucial process. You're on the path.
Okay, so company pensions count.
They absolutely count. And the employer match, if your company offers one, is arguably the closest thing to genuinely free money you will ever encounter in your financial life.
Explain the match again.
Sure. It means your employer, your organization, will contribute an extra dollar or an extra pound for every dollar or pound you put in, up to a certain percentage of your salary.
Okay.
So for instance, let's say you earn $50,000 per year and your employer offers a, say, 5% match. That means for every dollar you contribute up to $2,500, which is 5% of $50K, your employer will also contribute an additional $2,500 on your behalf.
Wow. So you put in $2,500 and instantly you have $5,000 in your account.
Instantly. That's like getting an immediate guaranteed 100% return on your contribution just for showing up and putting the money in. It is absolutely critical, non-negotiable really, to ensure you are contributing at least enough to max out that employer match, because leaving that money on the table is just, it's financial madness.
Yeah, turning down free money sounds like a bad idea.
It's an unparalleled way to supercharge your savings right from day one. And beyond the match itself, remember that contributions to traditional workplace plans, like a traditional 401k or many UK pensions, are typically made pre-tax.
What does that mean exactly?
It means the money comes out of your paycheck before income tax is calculated. So it reduces your taxable income right now in the current year, meaning you pay less tax today. And then the money inside the plan grows tax deferred. You don't pay tax on the growth year after year. You only pay income tax when you eventually withdraw the money in retirement.
Okay, so tax benefits now and tax-free growth.
Exactly. It's a significant tax deferral advantage. Now, some places also offer Roth 401k options, which work differently. You pay tax now, but withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. That's a whole other discussion on tax diversification. But the key point is, these workplace plans are powerful tools. Oh, and one other thing with employer matches, always check the vesting schedule.
What's vesting? What's that?
It means you don't always own the employer's contribution immediately. You might have to stay with the company for a certain number of years, maybe 3 years or 5 years, before that matched money is fully yours to keep if you leave. So, something to be aware of.
Good point. Okay, so workplace plans are step one, especially for the match. What else? What if you don't have a workplace plan or you want to do more?
Great question. Secondly, we need to talk about tax-advantaged individual investment accounts. These offer another incredibly powerful avenue for growing your wealth.
Right.
In the UK, the prime example is the Stocks and Shares ISA, individual savings account. In the US, and the most common equivalent is the Roth IRA, individual retirement arrangement, although traditional IRAs exist too.
ISAs and IRAs. Heard of them. Why are they so good?
They are absolutely fantastic tools because they allow your investments to grow completely tax-free. Yes. This isn't just a minor perk, it's huge. It means you pay absolutely no tax on any dividends your investments generate within the account. And critically, you pay zero capital gains tax when you eventually sell your investments for a profit, provided you follow the account rules like withdrawal age for IRAs.
Wow, no tax on growth or withdrawals. That sounds amazing.
It is amazing. The government essentially provides these special accounts as a powerful incentive to encourage people like you to save and invest for the long term. It's a helping hand.
Okay, but there must be a catch.
Well, the key distinction compared to traditional workplace plans is when the tax is paid. The money you contribute to these accounts, your ISCA contributions, your Roth IRA contributions, has usually already been taxed. It typically comes from your bank account, from your paycheck after income tax and other deductions have been withheld.
Ah, okay. So you pay income tax up front on the money you put in.
Exactly. You pay the tax up front, but then all the future growth, and in the case of Roth IRAs and ISAs, qualified withdrawals are completely tax-free. This is often summarized as tax-exempt, or T. Traditional plans are often exempt taxed, or ET.
Okay, so it's tax upfront versus tax later. Why choose one over the other?
That depends on your individual circumstances and your prediction about future tax rates. If you think you're in a lower tax bracket now than you will be in retirement, paying tax now, Roth ISA, might be better. If you think you'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement, deferring the tax, traditional 401k IRA, might be better. But honestly, having both types gives you valuable tax diversification. It means you have investment buckets that will be treated differently by the taxman in the future, giving you flexibility when you start drawing income in retirement, especially if tax laws change.
Okay, tax diversification. That makes sense. So the strategy is,
The strategic brilliance here lies in aiming to maximize your contributions to all available tax-advantaged accounts first, so get the full employer match in your workplace plan. Then try to max out your ISA allowance or your Roth traditional IRA contributions, depending on your eligibility and preference. Only after you fully utilize these incredibly tax-efficient accounts should you really consider moving on to investing in a regular taxable brokerage account, which doesn't offer these same powerful long-term tax benefits.
prioritize the tax shelters first. Got it. Okay, this is great about where to put the money. But now the big question. What do you actually invest in inside these accounts? Stocks, bonds. It sounds complicated.
Yeah, this is where people often get analysis paralysis. They think, okay, I open the account, now what? But the secret here, widely adopted by even the most sophisticated institutional investors and financial advisors, is actually to keep it remarkably simple.
Simple is good. Tell me more.
The answer for most people, most of the time, lies in passive index funds or exchange-traded funds, known as ETFs.
Index funds and ETFs. Okay,
Yeah.
what are they?
They aren't super complex instruments. They are essentially just investment vehicles, like mutual funds or ETFs, specifically designed to track the overall performance of a broad market index.
Like the FTSE 100 in the UK or the S&P 500 in the US?
Exactly like those. Or even broader, like a global stock market index that covers thousands of companies worldwide. The beauty is, when you invest in one of these funds, it automatically diversifies your money across hundreds, sometimes thousands, of different companies.
Ah, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Precisely. It ensures you're not overly reliant on the fortunes of just one or two companies, which significantly reduces specific company risk. And crucially, perhaps the biggest advantage, is that these passive funds come with exceptionally competitive, super low fees, often called expense ratios.
Low fees are good, obviously. Why is that so important?
Because fees eat directly into your returns. Every percentage point, or even fraction of a percentage point you pay in fees each year, is money that isn't compounding for you. Over decades, even seemingly small fee differences can add up to tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars less in your pocket. Passive funds are incredibly cheap compared to many actively managed funds where a manager is trying and often failing to beat the market.
So low fees mean more of my money stays invested and working for me.
Exactly. More of your money gets to benefit from that compounding magic we talked about. So, once you've set up your regular contributions into these tax-advantaged accounts, and you've selected a few well-diversified, low-cost passive funds, maybe one tracking your home country's market, one tracking global markets, perhaps some bonds depending on your risk tolerance, the optimal strategy often becomes wonderfully simple. Just set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it.
Really? Pretty much. Automate your contributions so the money goes in every month without you thinking about it. Rebalance maybe once a year to make sure your allocations haven't drifted too far. But otherwise, resist the urge to constantly tinker. Don't try to time the market jumping in and out based on news headlines. Don't try to pick the next hot stock.
That sounds lazy. Is it really effective?
It sounds lazy, but it's actually incredibly effective. It's truly an evidence-backed, highly efficient approach to long-term wealth accumulation. It's favored by many, many sophisticated investors, including Warren Buffett for most people, precisely because of its simplicity, its effectiveness due to low costs and diversification, and crucially, the psychological advantage. It takes emotion out of the equation. You're not making panic decisions during market downturns or getting greedy during market highs. You just stick to the plan. It is, quite literally, often described as the lazy person's path to wealth.
Okay, lazy in a good way. Strategic laziness.
Strategic laziness. I like that.
So, okay, let's synthesize all of this for someone listening. Maybe they're just starting out feeling a bit overwhelmed. Or maybe they're already investing, but wondering if they're doing it right. It sounds like the core message for this 15% is be consistent, prioritize tax advantages, keep it simple with low-cost funds, and let time do the heavy lifting.
You've summarized it perfectly.
Yeah.
It means making the prioritization of that 15% carving it out from every single dollar or pound you earn, a foundational, non-negotiable commitment.
Right.
It means securing your peace of mind first, building that essential emergency fund buffer, get that sorted, and then systematically leveraging the incredible power of time and these highly accessible, incredibly efficient, low-cost investment tools like index funds
Yeah.
within those tax-advantaged accounts.
Okay.
This whole approach isn't just about passively saving money in a bank account where it might get eroded by inflation. No, it's about actively empowering your capital to grow autonomously, working tirelessly for you, compounding around the clock, day in and day out, year after year.
It feels much more active when you put it like that.
Yeah. It is active in its setup and discipline. This disciplined allocation of that first 15% isn't merely a suggestion. It's really the fundamental prerequisite for achieving genuine financial freedom and building robust, lasting, long-term security for yourself and your family.
Okay. That covers the 15% for savings and future growth. Powerful stuff. Now, let's pivot to the biggest chunk. The 65 cents of every dollar, or 65p of every pound. This is the allocation you said should strategically go towards fundamental lifestyle expenses.
It's right.
These are the must-haves, right? The non-negotiables that literally keep your life running smoothly day in, day out. Rent, food, bills, getting around.
Exactly. This 65% category encompasses your absolute core expenses, your rent or your mortgage payment, your grocery bill, your essential utility bills, gas, electric, water, internet maybe, necessary transportation costs, whether that's car payments, insurance, fuel, or public transport fares, and, any other fixed, generally non-negotiable necessities that literally ensure you have a roof over your head, food on your table, and can function in daily life.
Okay. Seems straightforward enough.
Yeah.
But you hinted earlier, this is often the trickiest part. Why is that?
Yes, it seems straightforward, but this is often the most challenging part of the 1-I-5-6-5-20 rule to manage effectively in practice.
Why?
Because these core expenses, particularly housing and transportation, have this insidious, sneaky tendency to balloon out of control if you're not actively monitoring them and consciously controlling them. They are, for most people, the biggest devourers of income, and they often have a habit of expanding to fill whatever space, whatever income you give them. It's very easy for this 65% to become 70%, 75%, or even more without you really noticing until you're feeling squeezed.
Right, that makes sense. It's the lifestyle creep phenomenon we hear about, isn't it?
Exactly that. It's a phenomenon we've all either observed in others or, let's be honest, probably experienced ourselves at some point.
Guilty as charged, probably.
We all are. You get a well-deserved raise or promotion at work, and almost instinctively, maybe subconsciously, that perfectly adequate apartment suddenly starts to feel a little too small. Or that reliable old car just seems like it needs an upgrade.
Yeah, the temptation is real.
It is. And what initially feels like a positive step forward, financial progress, I can afford more now, can actually backfire quite significantly. Those lifestyle enhancements, the bigger house, the nicer car, the more expensive neighborhood, they inevitably come with significantly higher rent or mortgage payments, increased property taxes, higher utility bills, more expensive maintenance costs, pricier insurance premiums.
The hidden costs add up.
They add up massively. It's a classic trap. The minute your income increases, unless you're actively fighting it, your spending seems to magically expand to absorb that new financial capacity. That's lifestyle creep in action.
And that eats into the 15% for saving and the 20% for fun.
Precisely. It crowds everything else out. And it's a battle, honestly, that requires constant vigilance. Your core expenses will, almost without exception, naturally grow to match your income unless you actively and consciously push back against that inherent tendency.
So you have to be proactive.
You have to be proactive. And that's precisely why setting a firm, conscious limit, like the 65% guideline, on your fundamental expenses becomes absolutely critical for long-term success. This cap is vital for keeping your core spending in check. It ensures you're not constantly scrambling just to cover the basics every month, which, as you said, leaves no room for your future self, the 15%, or your present enjoyment, the 20%.
Oh, okay. But let's be real, that sounds hard. Especially, say, if you live in London or New York or another really expensive city, housing costs alone can be huge.
You are absolutely right. I won't sugarcoat it. This can be incredibly challenging. It is, in many cases, much harder said than done, especially if you're living in a high-cost-of-living urban center where housing and transportation expenses are inherently elevated and take up a huge chunk of income before you even start.
So is the 65% realistic everywhere?
It's a guideline. For some people in very high-cost areas, maybe it needs to be adjusted slightly, perhaps aiming for 70% temporarily while working to increase income or reduce other costs. But the principle of capping essentials remains vital. It demands active, ongoing management. It sometimes requires making difficult but necessary choices that prioritize long-term financial stability and freedom over maybe immediate gratification or keeping up with appearances.
Okay, so active management is key. How do we actually begin to gain strategic control over this big 65% chunk? Where do we start?
Right. The foundational first step always is to acquire a crystal clear, honest understanding of where your money is currently going within that essentials category. No guesswork, no estimates. You need an accurate, unbiased picture of your current spending habits before you can implement any truly effective changes. You need data on yourself.
Track your spending, basically.
Track your spending meticulously for a month or two. Use an app, a spreadsheet, whatever works. You need to see the reality in black and white. Now, to help you identify potential areas for optimization, we can look at some general data, but remember, your own situation is unique.
Okay, what does the general data show?
Well, looking at figures from statistics bodies like the Office for National Statistics in the UK, for example, housing consistently across most developed economies represents the single largest spending category for the average household.
No surprise there.
No surprise. It often accounts for roughly, say, 19–20% or even more of total weekly or monthly expenditure for many, and that encompasses those critical elements: your rent or mortgage interest payments, property taxes, insurance, plus essential utility bills. It's a big bucket.
Okay, what's usually second?
Typically, the second largest category for many households is transportation. That usually makes up around maybe 14–15% of household spending, again, on average. And this bucket includes everything from vehicle purchases, financing costs, insurance, maintenance, repairs, fuel, parking, tolls, and of course, public transport fares, if you use those. Again, lots of components adding up.
Housing and transport, the big two. Together, that's already, what, around 35% of spending on average, just for those two?
Easily, often more. Which highlights exactly why focusing your optimization efforts here can have such a significant impact on getting that 65% under control. Small savings in these huge categories are worth way more than cutting out tiny expenses elsewhere.
Right. So if the goal is to diligently keep the 65% of essentials in check, where do we specifically begin looking for opportunities to optimize within housing and transport? It feels like these are the main levers we can pull.
They absolutely are the main levers for most people once you've meticulously identified your own largest spending categories within that 65%. And again, this requires that careful review of your own bank statements and spending habits, not just relying on averages.
Right, personalize it.
Yes. Then you can begin to strategize with precision. Take housing, for instance. You might start asking yourself some tough questions. Are there genuine avenues to negotiate a more favorable deal on my current rent when my lease comes up for renewal? Have I researched comparable properties? Or, more drastically, have I seriously explored all potentially more affordable living options? Could that mean a slightly smaller residence? Moving to a different, maybe less trendy but more affordable neighborhood? Could I realistically consider house sharing or getting a roommate for a period to significantly cut costs?
Those are big questions.
They're big questions with potentially big savings attached. Similarly, for transportation, that second major category, a strategic review could lead you to ask, can I realistically swap my expensive daily car commute for a more affordable, maybe more sustainable option? Is reliable public transport viable? Could I join a carpool? Is cycling or walking an option, even for part of the journey or some days a week? If I own a car, is it the most fuel-efficient and cost-effective car for my actual needs, or could I downsize?
Okay. It's about questioning the defaults.
Exactly. Questioning the defaults and looking for efficiencies. Now, it's fundamentally important to clarify the why behind this. This optimization process, cutting back on the 65%, it's not about adopting some miserable, joyless, ascetic lifestyle where you deny yourself everything. That's not sustainable.
Good, because that sounds awful.
It does. Instead, the strategic aim here is about finding intelligent, often creative ways to keep these big, often unavoidable fixed costs under rigorous, conscious control.
Okay.
Because by doing that, by being smarter about the big rocks like housing and transport, you create significant breathing room within your overall budget. And that freed up money, that space, gives you more resources for your 15% future investments, and crucially, more freedom for the 20% the fun things in life we're about to talk about.
Okay. So controlling the 65% enables the other two parts.
Precisely. It's the enabler. So I strongly urge you, everyone listening, take the time this week, Sit down, look at your actual spending from the last couple of months, categorize it honestly. Note down what your biggest expenditure categories truly are within that essentials bracket, because that accurate, personalized knowledge is the ultimate power when it comes to effective financial optimization. It's about being smart and strategic with the big stuff, not just nickel and diming yourself on the small stuff.
Makes sense. Control the big rocks.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered the 15% for the future, the 65% for essentials. Now, for the part that honestly often gets overlooked, or maybe even comes with a surprising side of guilt for a lot of people, the final 20 cents of every dollar, the last 20p of every pound. This is where, as you said, the fund for immediate gratification, for enjoyment, for you, literally begins. It's about more than just whatever happens to be left over, isn't it?
Indeed. It's far, far more than just leftover money, or it absolutely should be. This 20% is a deliberate, planned allocation. It's money specifically earmarked for fun, for enjoyment, and critically, for personal fulfillment. Things that make life worth living now.
Okay.
And it perfectly aligns with a really powerful idea championed by many forward-thinking financial experts and psychologists. The ultimate goal of managing your money well isn't merely to, accumulate the biggest possible bank account only to die rich, having never enjoyed it.
All right, what's the point of that?
Exactly. Instead, the goal is to strategically use your money throughout your life to create a rich and fulfilling life along the way. It's about truly living, thriving, experiencing joy, not just perpetually saving and sacrificing for some distant, uncertain future. Finding that balance is absolutely key to sustainable financial discipline and overall well-being.
That's a really significant departure, isn't it? From the traditional, often quite puritanical, save every penny, delay all gratification mentality that gets preached sometimes.
It really is.
Our deep dives suggest that the financially astute, the truly savvy, they know a profound secret. They intentionally, deliberately make room in their budgets for guilt-free enjoyment. They plan for it.
They absolutely do. It's not an afterthought.
Because, let's face it, all work and no play isn't just a recipe for boredom, is it? It feels like a surefire path straight to burnout. And ultimately, maybe a breeding ground for just resenting your whole financial plan.
You've hit on a critical psychological truth there. It's absolutely fundamental. Studies in behavioral finance and psychology consistently demonstrate that individuals who consciously integrate a measure of flexibility and, importantly, intentional enjoyment into their budgets are far, far more likely to actually adhere to their financial goals over the long term.
Interesting. Why is that?
Well, think of it with the classic diet analogy we sometimes use. If you embark on an excessively strict, rigid diet, zero treats, no flexibility, absolutely no allowances for a cheat meal, or even just a small moment of indulgence.
Yeah, that sounds miserable.
It is. And what inevitably happens? Eventually, the deprivation becomes overwhelming, your willpower cracks, you break down, and often you end up binging, completely derailing your progress and feeling guilty afterwards.
Right. Been there.
Haven't we all? That exact same principle applies directly, powerfully to money management. If you continuously, relentlessly deprive yourself, telling yourself no to everything enjoyable, you're essentially building up this internal financial pressure cooker, and it is almost guaranteed eventually to explode.
How does it explode financially?
It could result in impulsive, unplanned overspending on something big you later regret, or maybe just a series of smaller, I deserve this splurges that completely blow your budget. Or, even worse, it can lead to just giving up on your savings and investment plan entirely out of sheer frustration and a crippling sense of deprivation. You think, what's the point?
Okay, so deprivation backfires. But the immediate counterargument someone might have is, okay, but won't allocating a whole 20% just for fun derail my serious savings and investments? Isn't that irresponsible?
That's a very common concern and a valid question to ask. But I can tell you, based on both solid research and tons of practical experience working with people on their finances, no, not at all. In fact, it's almost certainly the opposite.
The opposite. How?
If you don't deliberately carve out and protect a specific portion of your income for guilt-free spending, for enjoyment, you are significantly more likely to overspend in an unplanned, reactive, often regret-filled manner down the road. Or, as I said, you risk giving up on your savings and investments entirely because the process feels too painful, too restrictive, unsustainable.
So the 20% fund money actually protects the 15% savings money, in a way.
In a very real psychological way, yes.
Yeah.
It makes the whole plan sustainable. That's precisely why this 1-5-6-5-20 rule explicitly recommends dedicating a full 20% of your income after covering essentials and future savings to fun, enjoyment, and personal fulfillment. And you could even powerfully reframe this 20%. Don't think of it as just a frivolous expense. Think of it as a strategic investment in yourself.
An investment in yourself. How so?
By ensuring you remain motivated, balanced, mentally refreshed, and energized through purposeful enjoyment, you are, in essence, dramatically increasing the odds that you will consistently stick to your long-term financial plans, the 15% savings, the 65% discipline. It's a form of vital self-care for your financial future. It recognizes that our psychological well-being is intrinsically linked to our ability to maintain sustained financial discipline over years and decades.
That's a great way to look at it, investing in your own adherence to the plan.
Exactly. And for many successful people, this 20% isn't just about mindless consumption. It's often about investing in experiences that enhance their life or even their human capital. Maybe it's travel that broadens their perspective, hobbies that foster creativity or relieve stress, educational courses for personal growth, or even social engagements that build their network and open doors. It's a proactive allocation for long-term mental, emotional, and sometimes even professional sustainability.
Okay, so practically speaking then, what does this guilt-free enjoyment actually look like? What kind of things fit into this 20% bucket?
Oh, it can manifest in countless ways, and it should be totally tailored to your personal preferences and what genuinely brings you joy and fulfillment.
Give us some examples.
Okay, it could be things like deciding to treat yourself and maybe your partner or family to an exceptionally nice dinner out once a month without worrying about the cost within that 20% budget. It could be finally pulling the trigger on that high-quality bag or gadget or piece of sporting equipment you've been eyeing for months knowing you've budgeted for it.
Right. Planned purchase, not impulse.
Planned purchase. It could be funding a passion project, maybe art supplies, music lessons, materials for a side hustle you do for enjoyment, or it could be meticulously planning and saving within that 20% for a really fun holiday or a weekend getaway with friends. Anything really that adds richness and enjoyment to your life now.
So it's quite broad.
Very broad. The crucial element, the absolute core takeaway for you, the listener, is to genuinely give yourself permission to enjoy this allocated 20% of your income. Enjoy it without any accompanying feelings of guilt or shame or regret or thinking, oh, I should be saving this.
Because you are saving. You're saving the 15%.
Exactly. You've already taken care of your future self with the 15%. You've managed your essentials with the 65%. This 20% spending isn't some accidental splurge that happened because you lost control. No, it is a deliberate, pre-budgeted, and fully integrated part of your comprehensive, balanced financial plan.
Okay.
It represents conscious choices that actively enhance your life today. And it proves that smart, sustainable financial management is absolutely about living a rich life now while simultaneously diligently building for an even richer future. It's not an either-or.
This really does shift the whole perspective, doesn't it? Away from that feeling of deprivation and constant sacrifice towards something that feels much more like sustainable financial joy.
And balance.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Balance. It makes the entire financial journey feel significantly more achievable, I think. More appealing, definitely.
Yeah.
And ultimately, probably more rewarding in the long run because you're enjoying the ride.
Absolutely. It creates a positive feedback loop. You're actively rewarded for your discipline in the other areas rather than feeling constantly punished or restricted by it. That's psychologically powerful.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so after this really comprehensive deep dive into the philosophy, the mechanics, the psychology behind the 1-5-6-5-20 rule, what does this all mean for someone listening right now? How can they take these insights and actually put them into practice in their own life, make it real?
It means, hopefully, that you now possess a simple yet incredibly powerful, actionable blueprint, a framework for achieving financial success and, just as importantly, sustaining it over the long term.
Okay.
It's all about becoming profoundly deliberate, being intentional with every single dollar, every pound you earn, proactively assigning each unit of currency a specific purpose, a direction, before it even, metaphorically leaves your hands or your bank account.
Giving every pound a job.
Giving every pound a job. Exactly. And just to recap quickly, this rule establishes those three critical interconnected pillars for robust, balanced financial management.
Okay.
Pillar 1, the 15%. This is dedicated entirely to securing your future self, systematically growing your wealth through intelligent saving, that emergency fund first, and strategic long-term low-cost investing.
Got it. Future first.
Pillar 2, the 65%. This mandates consciously managing and diligently continually optimizing your fundamental living costs, your essentials. This serves as your primary defense against that insidious creep of lifestyle inflation we talked about, keeping the core lean.
Right. Control the big stuff.
And pillar three, the 20%. This is specifically deliberately allocated to invest in your own happiness now, your motivation, your overall fulfillment, ensuring your financial journey is not only prosperous in the future, but also sustainable, enjoyable, and deeply enriching along the way.
15 future, 65 essentials, 20 fun.
That's the blueprint.
Wow.
Simple, but profound when applied consistently.
It really is a powerful and I think quite liberating reminder that genuine financial success, financial well-being, isn't some exclusive domain reserved only for the super rich or the incredibly lucky.
Not at all.
Instead, it's actually an attainable reality for pretty much anyone who is willing to thoughtfully adopt and, crucially, consistently apply these kinds of proven strategies.
Consistency is key.
Yeah. This framework feels fundamentally about empowerment. It's about taking control through intentionality, and ultimately about having the profound ability to create a truly rich and fulfilling life, however you define that, on your own terms. It offers clarity, it instills confidence, and it provides a remarkable sense of control over your finances, which are really the unmistakable hallmarks of intelligent, sophisticated money management, wouldn't you say?
I couldn't agree more. Clarity, confidence, and control. That's what good financial planning delivers. And thinking about control and action, this raises, I think, an important question for you, our dedicated listener, to reflect on personally. As you sit here now and think about your own current spending, your saving habits, your overall financial picture, where do you identify the most immediate or perhaps the most impactful opportunity to apply this 1-5-6-5-20 rule in your personal financial life? Where's your starting point?
Good question.
Is it perhaps by decisively boosting that critical 15%? Maybe you realize you're undersaving for your future self and you need to really supercharge your savings rate, get those investments working harder with renewed vigor. Or perhaps is your biggest opportunity in strategically tightening the reins on the 65% allocated for essentials? Have you identified, even just listening today, some key areas within housing or transport or other core costs where optimization could make a really significant difference to your bottom line? Or maybe, and honestly, this is often the most challenging but equally rewarding area for many people. Is it about finally giving yourself that much-needed guilt-free permission to fully embrace and consciously enjoy that 20%? The part dedicated to your personal fulfillment and your present happiness. Maybe you've been too restrictive.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, too. It's not always about cutting back.
Not always. It's about balance.
So think about it. What seemingly small, perhaps, but ultimately intentional, deliberate shift could you realistically make this week or starting next month using this robust 1-5-6-5-20 framework as your guide? What one change could generate the biggest, most positive difference in your immediate financial peace of mind and also significantly enhance your overall well-being both now and in the future?
It might be less daunting and potentially much more rewarding than you initially imagine. Just start somewhere.
Great food for thought. That brings us to the end of another deep dive. We really hope you found these insights into the 1-5-6-5-20 rule useful, maybe even inspiring, for managing your money, perhaps a bit more like the top 1% do, with intention and balance.
And remember, consistent, intentional management, it's not just a one-off strategy. It really is a foundational discipline. It's the absolute key to building and, just as importantly, protecting your wealth over the long term. And ultimately, it's about enabling you to live a truly fulfilling and balanced life. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration today.
Thanks for watching this. See you in the next episode. Like, subscribe, and share.